Are we good?
Yeah.
So, I've got a question about the trajectory. I'm in a relationship with my wife of 40 years and my girlfriend, and we've been working on this for...
Two different people?
Nope, same one.
Just clarifying.
And we've been working on this for years, and we have a shared business together, and we're both working on our trajectory. And my question is, when one is on a trajectory of a high-flying disc and without very much wobble, and the other one is still experiencing wobble, how much does that affect shared manifestation of where we want to go?
This is the best question in the place in this discussion that we are, because the other person represents a condition that you're focused upon. In other words, it's difficult to have conversation with someone who's wobbling without them being a condition that then causes you to wobble. And so then the tendency is to, because you don't want to wobble, right, and now you're wobbling. You weren't wobbling before they were, and now you're wobbling. Now you're really wobbling. You're blaming them. If you could just believe, then it'd be easier for me to believe. So you really have to take this unconditional love stuff to the deepest level and not let the condition of someone else wobbling be the reason that you wobble. It really is as simple as that. I love you, my wobbly friend. I love you so much. And it's even all right to acknowledge that somebody's wobbling. Source does. In other words, the key is what unconditional wobblinglessness is. What unconditional not wobbling is not wobbling when you are looking at a condition. We're not asking you to withdraw from the conditions of the world. You can't do that. We're asking you to not wobble when you look at the conditions. So Esther listened to us talking about this unconditional condition for a while, this unconditional state of being. And one day, after she'd been doing some morning writing and she was feeling really good, and she looked out over her pool in Texas, and she fixated on these beautiful cranes that had been sculpted by a really wonderful artist, and they look like two cranes standing there. They are so realistic. And Esther was just appreciating the beauty of them, the balance of them, the perfection of them. It felt new to her. They've been standing there for 4 years, but they looked new. They were so extra beautiful. And then she noticed the big oak trees. There's 3 of them right there, and the pool that is so lovely. It's a zero-edge pool and an infinity edge, and everything about it was lovely, and a red bird in that tree and a red bird over there in that tree. And she was just sitting there feasting on all of this beauty around her. And then she had a thought. She said, Abraham, you've been teaching us about unconditional love, about being unconditional, but these are conditions that I'm focused upon. That's a condition of beautiful art, and that's a condition of mastery. The creation of that pool was a masterful thing. And these trees are incredible creation, and these birds. I'm looking at conditions. Abraham, I don't believe I'm having unconditional love here because I'm in love with these beautiful conditions. And we said the difference is you were in love before you found the condition just now. In other words, she wasn't looking for something to feel good about. She wasn't looking for a condition that would cause her to feel good. She felt good, and then the condition was realized in a more dramatic way than it ever had been before. So what we're saying here is what you want to do is think a thought that's as wobble-free as possible. And when you find one that wobbles, just step back from it a little bit. Feel as good as you can feel and still feel good. Be as specific as you can be and still feel good. Be as focused upon the details as you can be and still feel good. So for example, let's say that in this scenario, you are often, let's say even usually, the one who's tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You're usually feeling pretty good. You're not worried about things. But your wife is more worried about this and worried about that. And so she's off on one of her worrisome rants. That's a stronger word than applies. And you're sort of taking the hit of it because you felt pretty good before that, and now you're not feeling so good. So now that condition has got you introducing resistance into your vibration. Now you're starting to wobble and you blame her. So it doesn't matter what caused her to wobble, she's still wobbling. And it doesn't matter what caused you to wobble, you're still wobbling. In other words, wobbling is wobbling. And the sooner that you decide to stop blaming whatever the wobble factor is and focus upon the fact that you're wobbling and that you could do something about it, the better. That'd be like standing out on the edge of something, you're about to fall into the Grand Canyon, and instead of getting your balance, you're blaming somebody for leading you down the wrong trail. If you hadn't taken that fork in the road back there, we wouldn't be in this situation. I think you should think about your mapping skills, because you don't do that then. You just do what matters most, which is you don't fall in the Grand Canyon.
Right.
And that's what we want you to start thinking about with this wobble. Just don't wobble. Don't wobble, because the wobble matters. Because the wobble means you're off your trajectory, and it doesn't matter why. Unconditional. It doesn't matter why. Because if it matters why, you're just going to wobble more. Because you can't focus upon the reason for the wobble without the wobble getting greater. Ooh, don't you love knowing that?
Oh, yeah.
So, rather than focusing upon the fact that your wife is wobbling, instead, we'll ask you those questions. Do you prefer to love her or hate her?
Love her.
Do you prefer to appreciate her or criticize her?
Appreciate her.
Do you prefer to flow with ease or to flow with strain?
Flow with ease.
Do you prefer to feel clear about what you're doing or confused about what you're doing?
Clear.
These are such easy questions, aren't they? It's such easy questions, and there's no wobble there in the answers to that. In other words, it doesn't matter how wobbly she is. If you really think about what matters, you love her, love her, love her, love her, love her, even though she irritates the life out of you sometimes. You love her, unless you're focused upon the detail of the irritation, and then no one cannot feel the wobble under those conditions. You have to find a way to focus yourself into a place that you don't wobble. And then, here's the most wonderful thing about relationships, and we have to say everything is about relationships because you're moving around co-creating, is that once you get the hang of this so that you're more consistently without wobble. Now your vibration, you see, when you're not wobbling, everything about your business and everything about your relationship and everything about everything just moves in this wobble-free place because Source is already lined up with all of those things. You're just now not doing that thing you do that keeps you from lining up with it. And when you don't do that thing you do that keeps you from lining up with it, you line up with it. So now you've got this pure, powerful alignment factor going on. And in that situation, when you're tapped into that energy that creates worlds with no resistance, you are one influential being.
Yeah.
In other words, when you are love, it is impossible for someone not to love you in time. In other words, they might have practiced something else for a while, but if they've practiced not loving you and you've just practiced being love, and they've practiced being ornery and you just practiced being love, and pretty soon you're going to catch them at a weak moment, and they're going to and that's what we bank on. We know that as long as we keep that light on, eventually you're going to stumble in there and you're going to feel it, you see. Unless you're focused upon conditions that you've practiced that take you out of whack with it. Don't you love knowing this? This is a really good time.